This is it. We have reached the final episode. Holy cow. I did not think it would take this long. What a journey this has been. But don't worry, I'm not going to talk long. I know you're eager to finish the story, and so am I. At the end, I will definitely be sharing all my thoughts on the story as a whole, the decisions I made, and what I regret. But before that, we need to end the story. Thank you so much for watching from beginning to end, and please enjoy. Velma clears her head at her old childhood hangout spot that Fred, Daphne, Shaggy, Sam, Scooby, and herself would go to. She pieces everything together and carefully calculates the steps she must take to assure the truth comes out, and to prevent herself from following in her mother's footsteps. As a precaution, Velma leaves a message in the hiding spot where they used to leave messages for each other, putting her faith in her friends. With that, no more stalling could be had, as it was time to face the one with the answers. Velma, what are you doing here? I went to see her. Who? Edna. Oh? Did she tell you anything that could help you with your mom's case? Yes and no. She basically told me what I already suspected. My mom was investigating the sinkhole, but unlike me, she knew who was responsible for it. I thought it was the Cogburns, and I still do think they are partially responsible, but there's someone else. I thought that file would give me the answer, but I assume it will only confirm what I already suspected. And what's that? That the Cogburn pharmacy was most likely illegally disposing their chemical waste and got caught. They tried to cover up their tracks by getting the other Cogburn brother to fill up the sinkhole and get rid of the evidence. But they didn't count on your mother, did they? She took water samples from the sinkhole and blood samples from me. The results of both Edna kept in the original file, while she gave Sam a redacted copy. It's ironic. I thought all the answers would be in that file, but what led me to the truth was a simple little photo. At first I thought the photo was just a simple threat, but the longer I looked at it, the memory finally came back to me. I don't remember much from when this was taken, but there is one thing. I didn't want to look at the camera because the sun was reflecting off the lens and it hurt my eyes. Even when you took off your jacket and put it over your head to block the sun, I still refused to look. Velma? Are you seriously? How could you think that You took this photo with your camera. Only you would have access to make a copy. Why? Velma, I've known you since you were a baby. I've been there for you. I don't care about any of that. I just want to know what happened to my mom. Please. I tried to talk to her, but she wouldn't listen. I offered to help her, but she just refused to understand. I wouldn't have been able to recover from that, but she just didn't care. Okay, I'm listening, William. And if you care, then please, tell me the truth. This is a surprise. What are you doing here, Nora? I hate to ask, William, but is your account still active from when you worked at the Cogburn Pharmacy Lab? Why do you want to know that? I think the lab did something illegal and I need your help to prove it. Nora, are you crazy? You can't go around accusing our reputable lab of illegal activities. I have proof. Edna and I tested the water from the sinkhole and blood from Velma. They both tested positive for the same chemicals, a pharmaceutical chemical. Do you have the results? It's in a safe place in my office. Nora, even if you were right, to go up against the Cogburns is a career ender. Not just for you, but for Dale as well. Everyone knows he's going to lose that lawsuit. This could make it worse for him. Once I tell him everything, he'll understand. And Velma? What about her? This is for her. Her eyesight is permanently damaged and I have a responsibility to protect my child, and if this company could or has hurt her, the hell if I'll stay silent. I'm sorry, Nora, but the Cogburn lab would not be that irresponsible. They just wouldn't. Why are you defending them? You told me that they could sometimes be shady with their practices.
I'm being rational, Nora, which is what you should do. You have a family to think about. That's why I'm here asking for help to protect my family.
If you need assistance with Velma, you know I'm more than happy to help. William, what the hell is going on with you? It's almost like... Did you do something?
I didn't do anything, Nora. You can't go around just
William.
blaming other people for things that go wrong in your life.
William! What's going on? I did my job. That's it. Okay. And what was that? Their lead scientist developed this drug that in theory could help a lot of people, but in order for the drug to make it into human trials, it had to be reviewed by other scientists and doctors to assure that it's safe. You reviewed the drug. I did my due diligence and highlighted concerns I had with the formula. But you still approved it, didn't you? They told me they would look into it, but they needed it to be approved first, or else the project would be cut. So you just looked the other way, just like that. They told me they would fix it. And how much did it take for you to believe that? Like I said, if you need help with Velma, I'll pay for it. I don't want your fucking money. I want my child to be healthy. Do you still have the files they gave you to review the drug with? Do you have any idea what you're asking of me? All I'm asking is for you to do the right thing. Help me do the right thing, William. I can't. Where are you going? I'm going to tell Dell. He'll know what to do.
Nora, I have nothing to do with the sinkhole.
Perhaps, but it's clear that drug is dangerous. Nora, you can't. The Cogburns, they have a wall of money to hide behind, but I'm sorry, William.
Wait a minute, just please tell me you'll leave my name out of it, okay? Just leave me out of it. William, stop! I beg of you, Nora. I know I messed up. I was weak. I shouldn't have caved, but have
William,
mercy.
calm
This
down.
will ruin me. You will
Stop.
ruin me. My career, my
Get a hold of
reputation. I
yourself.
won't get that back.
Let
Is that
go
what
of
you
me.
want?
Let
Go!
Oh my god. Nora? Oh god, Nora, what did I do? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for that to happen. I swear, if I could, I'd take it all back. I swear. If you mean what you say, then make it right. Tell me, where is my mother? Velma stayed silent, unsure. Deep down, she always knew the truth. At least by the third year her mother stayed missing. There were times she wanted to say it out loud, to relieve herself of the false hope that burdened her so much. Velma looked down at William, a man she loved and respected. She wanted to hate him, but couldn't find it in herself to do so. In fact, she felt nothing for him. In the end, it seems that old adage turned out to be true. Those closest to you are more likely to hurt you than a stranger. After Nora fell, William wanted to call an ambulance, but he was just too scared to. Instead, he placed Nora in her car and drove for over an hour thinking what to do. Finally, he decided to hide Nora in his mother's old house that he was renovating to sell. He hated himself for what he was doing, but rationalized it, convincing himself that like all great medicines, it just needed time to be perfected. He did his best to be respectful as he laid Nora in her final resting place. After that, he thought it was over until he remembered Edna and knew once she learned of Nora's disappearance, she'd come forward with her findings, so he drove to her lab. At first, he was going to leave a note, but was fearful that would only encourage her to go to the police, so he chose instead to only leave the photo. As he made his way back, he got a call from Dell. Without answering, he knew why he was calling. He didn't want to answer it, but knew it would be suspicious if he didn't. The entire call was agony, as Dell asked if he heard from Nora or knew where she was. William told a lie he would repeat for 11 years, and when the call was over, he broke down. There was no rationalizing that part. He hid Nora's car in a storage unit and took the bus back to the university, knowing he didn't have much time left before Dale would call the police. He looked through Nora's office, desperate to find the test results, while trying to keep the office intact. That morning, he gets another call from Dale. This time, he's informed that Dale called the police and that they're going to start the investigation. Out of time, he leaves Nora's office, returns to his, and pretends that he slept there all night. The first month into the investigation was agony as William fearfully waited for the police to arrest him, but they never did. However, this didn't bring him any relief as he was constantly reminded of his crime through Velma. William thought about moving away, but felt an obligation to stay as a form of repentance. As the years passed, there were moments that he could forget his crimes, but as the saying goes, the past never truly dies. When Velma revealed she found the test results Nora mentioned, at first William didn't know what to make of the situation. The thought of leaving did cross his mind, but since it appeared that Velma didn't know much, he thought he was safe for the moment, especially after Velma showed him the test results revealing there wasn't much information. However, the panic set in when Velma called him about retrieving the file from Edna's lab. He couldn't think of any proper way to get the file without Velma, so instead he chose to stall for time by making up an excuse. However, this didn't buy him the time he thought it would, as Velma called him not long after, telling him that Sam was going to retrieve the file. Upon hearing this, William didn't think much as he just acted. He went to the storage unit to get Nora's car and used it to catch up to Sam, but he wasn't sure what he was going to do after that. When he got to the lab, he saw Sam's car and knew he was inside. He chose to wait, but still was unsure what to do. William spotted Sam leaving the lab, and at first he just followed, but when Sam turned off at the back road, William knew that he knew. The only thing that went through his mind at that moment was being grateful that Velma wasn't in the car as he sped up. When Sam hit the tree, William was hesitant to approach but knew he had to get the file. He was glad to see that Sam was relatively alright other than showing clear signs of concussion. He spotted the cell phone on the floorboard and realized that Sam called 911. Knowing that help was on the way, William took the file and left. Back home, William looked at the file only to find redactions, which infuriated him as he felt guilty for putting Sam through hell for no good reason. That morning, Dale called him to inform him of Sam's accident and that he's going to take Velma to the hospital. William replies that he'll inform the university, but before he does, he realizes that with both of them out of the house, he can get the test result file, eliminating what little evidence is left. He uses the old house key that Dale gave him when he was having a hard time adjusting to being a single parent. He finds the file, and with both now in his possession, he burns them. All that was left was finally getting rid of Nora's car, until Velma revealed new information she found. When she asked about Edna, he was relieved, as for once he wouldn't have to lie and assumed that Velma wouldn't look too much into her after learning her mother's history with her. He should have known better, but at that point, he was getting tired. The police arrest William and he confessed to it all, including the bribery. This caused the police to open an investigation on the Cogburn pharmacy. The Mystery Inc. gang arrives to give the police the file they picked up. After Velma left Edna's lab, she called them explaining everything and left the file for them to find, if anything was to happen to her. Dale begins to construct a lawsuit against both Cogburns. He's not confident that this will completely ruin them, but it will at least set them back significantly. Not to mention, the media has been having a frenzy trying to cover this groundbreaking story from all angles, particularly from one specific person. However, that's all background noise to Velma as she finally gets to mourn her mother. A week has passed and Dale knows that it's time for Velma to leave, even if she doesn't. Velma, it's time. Time for what? Time for you and the others to be moving on. Are you kicking me out? Of course not. This will always be your home, but I can see you're getting restless. Of course I'm restless. I can't leave the house without a journalist popping out of a bush to interview me. All the more reason why you should leave. You did what you said you were going to do. You found your mother. Now let me take care of the rest. Are you sure? Of course. And who knows? Maybe on your travels you'll find a real live ghost. That's an oxymoron, Dad. Velma says her goodbyes, but just as they were getting ready to leave, Sam pulls up in Fred's old car. Apparently, after Fred heard what happened to Sam, he decided to give Sam his car. Shaggy starts talking to Sam, but Daphne and Fred pull him away so Velma and Sam could have a moment together. So, where are you heading? Wherever there's a mystery to be solved. Come with us. Sorry, Velma, but that's just not my thing. Besides, I got a lot of work ahead of me now that I've changed my major. To what? Just as you're committed to finding the truth, I want to get justice for those who seek the truth. It's finally time to hit the road, and it's more bittersweet than Velma thought it would be. But it's also a big sigh of relief as she can finally put this chapter behind and look to the next.
Scooby-doo, where are you? We got some work to do now.
That is the end of the Velma rewrite saga, and what a journey it's been. It feels so satisfying to be done, well, almost done. Now I want to talk about the story as a whole, the things I liked, and the decisions I regret. But first, let me start off by saying that I'm aware the story is not perfect, and truthfully, this isn't the whole story that I wanted to tell, but regardless, I love what I was able to accomplish with this rewrite. I really pushed myself with the art this time around and the editing. I think that's what I'm the most proud of with this rewrite series, is the amount of editing I did to try to give the story more personality. You let me know, did you notice all the effects that I added, and did you like it, or do you think I overbloated it? Regardless, I do like how it turned out, but I do have regrets. I think I mentioned this in my first video, but when I heard that the Velma series was going to be for a more mature audience, I was really excited and got it in my head that the story might take place in a college setting. Not only did the story disappoint me, but the setting did as well, especially since it was an origin story of the Mystery Inc. gang. There have been multiple origin stories, and while Velma did change some things, it still pretty much followed the same recipe of how the Mystery Inc. gang comes together. That's partly why I chose not to rewrite the origin and go for something different. However, looking back now, I realized it was a mistake not to have my rewrite take place in high school. Let me explain. The one thing I'll give Mindy Kaling credit for is choosing to focus the story on one of the main characters, even though it was very poorly done. With the story I wound up telling about Velma looking for her missing mother, I realize now that would have been an amazing coming-of-age story to end the high school era with. In this version, the Mystery Inc. gang are already friends and have pretty much established what they want to do after they graduate. Can you guess what that is? All except Velma, who feels compelled to stay in her hometown because if she was to leave, Velma would feel as if she was giving up on her mother, similar to how she accused her father in the 3rd episode rewrite. If I had gone down this route, the story would have played out very differently, but ultimately came to the same conclusion. And the ending would have been far more powerful as Velma was just starting out on her journey compared to my rewrite, where she was continuing it. Which leads me to another regret I have with my rewrite. Not enough characters. Originally, I had planned to insert many of the characters from the show, but being the one-woman show that I am, I had to be more selective. As much as I wanted to insert more characters, realistically, if I did, I know I'd want to divert from the main storyline so I could explore those characters, but time-wise, exploring these different characters could have resulted in needlessly dragging the story longer than it should have, which may cause the audience to get bored. As a result, I had to make an executive decision that I know wasn't that great, and due to the lack of characters, I think everyone pretty much picked up on who the perpetrator was in my rewrite. Even though the final result wasn't what I had originally envisioned, this was a great experience and I don't regret doing this rewrite at all, especially when these rewrites give me the opportunity to explore difficult subject matters in a more accessible and palatable way. In the end, I'm proud of what I accomplished and I hope I did right by the characters. That's always the main goal, doing right by the characters. I think I've talked enough. Thank you so much for sticking till the end, and like always, let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching and like and subscribe.